Good evening, my name is Dova and welcome to Walking and Talking in Video Games. Tonight we'll be walking through Ark Survival Evolved while I gently talk you to sleep, discussing whatever my ADHD brain decides it wants to think about. I'm so glad you're here and I want you to know that you are safe here and you're not alone in your struggles. Now, let's get to walking. I'm going to start this one off with a story. So back whenever I was in college, I had this professor in my animal science class because I majored in animal science. So my intro to animal science class, I had this professor. I forget his name, but I wouldn't say it anyway just to keep, but let's call him Professor. Yeah, let's call him Professor X. But no, he was a really sweet guy, but he was very, I want to say eccentric, but that makes it sound like he was off the walls, weird. No, he was just he was funny and tried to make his lessons fun. So I appreciated that. But there was on Halloween, because I had this class in the fall semester. On Halloween, we walked into the classroom and a couple of people were dressed up, but not too many. But the professor was nowhere to be found. And so I was looking around and really confused about where he could possibly be because he was never late. So, we're sitting there, 8 o'clock rolls around because it was an early morning class, and door shuts, no professor. We were all confused. Where the heck is he? I kind of spoiled the surprise, but I'm sure you can get where I'm going with this. At 8:01 a.m., someone who was sitting in the front row in one of those inflatable T-Rex costumes stands up, walks to the front of the classroom, and it's our professor. And he taught that entire hour-long class in that T-Rex costume with the little arms, the works. It was so funny. And I really appreciated him for doing that. I love when teachers do fun things like that. It makes the monotony of school a lot easier to bear, for one thing, or to put it one way. I'm one of those people where school is just not for me, which is, not super fortunate because it would have been good to finish college, but it is what it is. I couldn't do it. Part of the reason is because it's not made for people. For one thing, it's not made for neurodivergent people. I had undiagnosed ADHD at the time, and it was very difficult just to learn in the classes that I was interested in, but the classes that I wasn't interested in, I could not learn a thing, and I was failing and doing horribly, and I just couldn't finish. So that's the story of how I dropped out of college. It's not made for neurodivergent people, and it's not made for anyone who can learn in any way other than auditory. Lectures are not conducive to actually learning things. You just sit there and you're talked at for an hour to an hour and a half, sometimes even more. How is that supposed to teach you anything? That's why things like science labs, where you do experiments and stuff, are helpful, because at least they teach you through, you get to do things. Although labs kind of suck because it's so much freaking paperwork, so many, what do they call paperwork in school? I forget. So much to have to write down and fill out, and reports to have to make, and oh my gosh, it sucked. But the other classes, or, classes where they just sit there and talk at you for hours, they're not good for learning. Most people do not learn that way, and yet they won't evolve, work on being more, catering to more learning styles. Most professors just don't care. They just show up, they do their thing, they talk to the classroom for an hour, and then they're done. And they don't really care if you pass or fail. They get paid either way. Some of them do. I'm not trying to say that all professors are like this, but it is really nice to get the professors who don't care in the way that they like, they're lenient, or they I had one who let us bring our pets to class. So this one girl brought her puppy, I brought my bearded dragon. Oh, one guy, he was going to bring his tegu, which is a large, super large lizard, like the size of a small dog, but never ended up happening, unfortunately, because tegus are super cool. I wanted one so badly for a while. But I'm getting to the point in my life where I'm thinking maybe I won't have any pets outside of dogs after my current pets are gone. Because I'm going, well, at least not for a long time. Not unless I get, I don't know, not for a long time. I have recently had a bit of an influx of medical bills, vet bills, because my ferret, um, she has this thing called adrenal disease, which is actually very common in ferrets, at least American ferrets, where all the ferrets are bred by the same company, unfortunately, so they have the same set of health problems. But adrenal disease is like a cancer of the hormonal glands, and so that was an expensive vet bill to first get her examined, and then get the implant that she needs. So she's gonna have to have a new one every 6 months or so, and then so that was like $300, and then I had to take my dog to the vet because, well, I'm not gonna say what was going on with her because it's kind of gross, but she, with the things she's dealing with, getting an exam for her plus the medicine ended up costing me another $300 the first trip, and then but it wasn't getting better, so we had to go back today, and that ended up costing me another $300 because she they had to sedate her and do what they needed to do. I mean, it was fast, it only took about an hour, but so it wasn't like a surgery, but owning pets is not cheap. And I knew that, especially with the exotic pets. Exotic vet bills are expensive. Even just finding a vet who will see exotic pets like ferrets and reptiles is difficult. Most of them won't, especially since they're very, you know, they're unique. They're not like dogs and cats. They have specific needs, and they're generally pretty small. Lizards and snakes and ferrets, they're very small creatures, so you have to have special tools to be able to do surgeries and stuff on them safely. You can't just use the same tools that you use for dogs and cats. And the vet has to be very careful working in a very tiny body. So, like, I get why it's more expensive, but goodness. And that same ferret that has adrenal disease now had a cost me $700 for a surgery. Well, this was like a year ago, so it's been some time, but still, like, she just things keep happening with her. Feels like it's always something. So I'm thinking, I feel like I'll always need to have a dog in my life. Well, I don't know. I've always had dogs. It's they provide a sense of emotional support that is unique to them. Like, I don't know, dogs are always there for you and they love you unconditionally and they're just amazing, and they provide a sense of, well, they provide a love that's hard to find elsewhere. Even with people, people can't be around as much as your dog can. Like, you come home, your dog's there. He's waiting for you. He's butt waggling, ecstatic to see you. But like a partner or a child or whatever, yeah, they're there. They're happy to see you. But they have lives too. Your dog doesn't really have a life outside of you. And also, I don't know, even whenever your other relationships end, things are kind of going downhill. You feel like life's just getting kind of hard to live. your dog's there for you, or your cat, or whatever you've got. And the way that they look at you, the look in your pet's eyes when they see you, or, well, your dog's eyes, and potentially your cat's, though they're a bit more independent. But the look in your dog's eyes when he sees you, you first come home, that's a rare kind of beauty that you just can't really get anywhere else. So I feel like I'll always need to have a dog in my life at least, but as far as the other pets, I think the world's just getting too expensive, which is really unfortunate because I really love like the hobby of reptile keeping and small animal keeping in general. But I mean that at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's a hobby. And sometimes life makes you set down your hobbies and walk away from them for a while. And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. You find new hobbies or you fill your time in other ways. But I do think that having hobbies, well, but also I just want to clarify real quick, I don't see animal keeping as simply a hobby. Obviously, it's very significant. Adopting an animal is you're committing to take care of them for their entire life. It's not just like a thing that you can do carelessly. But it is like the parts of it that are hobbies are going to reptile expos or like building DIY enclosures for your reptiles, things like that. So, and I love those parts of the hobby, but like I said, sometimes you just have to set a hobby down and step away from it for a while. And with the state of the world right now, I just don't know how I could afford to adopt more exotic pets. But it's okay, because there's there's more freedom in not having pets or having less pets, because you don't have to worry about, who's going to take care of them if you go away for the weekend or whatever. And that is definitely nice. And also it's a lot easier to find a place to live, like as far as rentals go, if you don't have pets. That's something I've been kind of struggling with, is and not a lot of places even accept pets. And if they do, they might accept dogs, but not ferrets. Even if they accept both, it's expensive. There's pet fees. They call it a pet deposit, but it's not a deposit. You don't get it back. It's a $500 fee. It's ridiculous. And then there's pet rent every month, where they charge you an extra $30 for your pet to live there per pet. And then there's limits over what size your pet can be. My dog is 80 pounds. So she's over many limits and right at some. Can't imagine if I had like a Malamute or a Great Pyrenees, because yikes, those are like 100+ pound dogs. It's hard out here, existing, affording to live. It's hard. Not to be a downer, but I'm just trying to be real with y'all, because I think that's something that I've earned around here, is the freedom to be honest. And I think that's something that y'all appreciate. But, and I'm not gonna get like too serious, but I do want to be able to just speak what's on my heart sometimes. But that's kind of, I mean, that kind of stuff is always on my mind. It's not like this is happening lately kind of thing. This is something that it's constantly in the back of my mind, if not at the front. But as far as more positive things go, well, first, I apologize. I have been taking a several week long break, and I was just getting a bit burnt out. I still am a bit, at least just as of the time that I'm recording this. It was kind of some things happened today, and I just need to get my mind, I need to do something productive so I don't feel so helpless. But yeah, so I've been taking a bit of a break, and because I'm kind of starting to lose the things that I loved so much about making videos in the beginning, and I don't want that. I don't want to lose that. So some space has helped me gain perspective and just be able to enjoy the other parts of my life, because making these videos takes up pretty much all of my free time. And I don't like that. I mean, I do like being able to use my free time productively. I like being able to make these videos, but it can get to be a lot whenever that's what you're constantly doing. And I am glad that I'm not making the high energy videos anymore, because that was a whole lot more draining and took up a whole lot more of my time. But so now the time that I do have is I can spend it with friends and things like that, but that time is very limited. And so it's been nice just taking some time off. And especially since, if I want this YouTube thing to be successful, it's probably going to be years before it ever really takes off. So I need to be able to protect my peace and my mental health and not constantly push myself to the edge. So it's a marathon, not a sprint. Even though I had originally had a goal of posting a video every week for this year, every week in 2025, I realized that I thought that was a marathon. That was me running the marathon. But I realized that was just a 1 year long sprint. What was going to happen after the year ended, and I was still, I mean, I don't want to say I'm not successful. I've built a community, and that's what I wanted, and that's beautiful, and I am so happy to have y'all. But you know what I mean? Like, as far as taking off in like a massive way, like 100,000 subscribers stat, like that stuff's gonna take a long time. It could take years. So I need to be able to take time when I need it to recharge and come back healthy, come back happy to record and edit and make thumbnails and do all the things that I need to do. Because if this is going to be worth it, it's going to require me to protect my peace. And I want to get back to the point that I was at where I really loved making these. And so that requires me to take a little bit of a break, then so be it. I mean, it's been like some of the things that I used to love to do in my free time, I haven't been able to do in a really, really long time. So, like, even still now, whenever I've taken this time off, I still haven't done them. So, I just think it's important to take care of yourself. Even if, like a hobby, like this is just a hobby right now. Even your hobbies can get exhausting sometimes. And you need to be able to, well, I keep repeating myself, but you need to be able to take care of yourself. But here we are, making a video in Fjordur. Recently, I started a snack store at my work. It's just like a tiny little stand with chips and snack cakes, like Hostess snack cakes and stuff, like Ding Dongs and Twinkies, and there's some oatmeal cookies. But yeah, it's nothing crazy. No drinks yet, because I don't have a fridge or a freezer to keep drinks and ice cream and frozen burritos. So maybe one day down the line, but today's not that day. So here we are. But I would love to be able to get to that. But also, one of the girls, one of the other girls that I work with, her husband owns a vending machine that we have on our property that sells sodas. So if I do start selling drinks, I can't sell sodas because I don't want to step on her toes. But I mean, I could sell like people recommended Arizona iced teas and things like that. So I could do that. But then the frozen burritos and ice cream and stuff is great, and breakfast sandwiches, those are great ideas because I mean, if people hardly eat, and we have like people come in and out of our office all the time. So it's making pretty, I make pretty decent sales. It's been fun too. I mean, I've not recouped the losses yet, or like what I put in to buy all the snacks in the first place. But I mean, I'm getting there. I I had one day where I sold like 25 things, which is crazy. Well, so okay, so you can see like not a ton, because like some days I sell 5 things and that's it. But I mean, still, that's 5 people who decided to get a snack out of my little snack stand. That's $5 that I get back. So I'm appreciative of everything because it's fun to have people walk up and like, I don't know, it's kind of like being a little kid again and like having a play like pretend store. Well, but it's real. So that's been fun. And then I don't know, but I have this one person who like he just kind of, I don't know if he's been joking or not, but he complains about how like, oh, the girl at the other office sells these for this much. You should sell these for this much. And the girl at the other office sells these two for $1. And I'm like, man, leave me alone. But yeah, so it's been pretty fun. If I did get a fridge, I don't know where I would put it because I'm guessing she has more space than I do because there's barely enough. I did get like a locking file cabinet to store the snacks so that they're more secure. It's not perfect because the file cabinet doesn't fit everything, so most of my stuff I just stuff under the desk and hope that no one like goes looking. But nah, it is what it is. I am running low on honey buns. I need to get more of those. But I tried to get them in bulk at Sam's Club, but they only had the iced one, like the white icing ones, not the regular honey buns. But also, the box that I bought of them said that they were large, so I thought it was gonna be like those big honey buns. But no, they're just like regular sized. I don't understand. Whatever. So that's been my recent project. Is the snack store work. Uh, Other things I've been doing recently, I have been spending my newly found free time playing a lot of Marvel Rivals because I get a sense of accomplishment from ranking up. And if you play Marvel Rivals, my main is Cloak and Dagger. And just last night, I finally got up to platinum. I've barely been able to play all season, and this is my first time like really ranking up, like making the time for it. So it definitely feels good after not being able to play, cuz it's a game that my friends play, so I want to be able to play with them and I want to be good, get good, maybe brag a little bit. But it's just finding the time has been so hard. So it's been nice being able to play it a bit more lately. But like I said, I'm a Cloak and Dagger main, and she's a support character. And I also, back whenever I was a jobless bum, a couple of years ago when Overwatch 2 came out, I played that non-stop. I have over 700 hours in Overwatch. I got like 720, and I had no idea there was that much. That's kind of an insane number, especially on a game that's so repetitive. Like I never would have expected that I would get into such a repetitive type of game because I used to be like an RPGs kind of person. And then with Ark, I really love, like that was my first time really getting into a survival game, and I have 2,000 hours on Ark, which is crazy. But with Overwatch, a lot of me playing it was playing with my friends, which unfortunately all the people that I played with at that time I don't talk to anymore. Not like because of anything bad, we just kind of fell off. But I really loved those times, especially when we'd have a group call with like 15 people and then we'd be doing custom games and it was chaotic and awesome. And we would stay up literally all night because, again, jobless bums. And my partner at the time was working night shifts for a while, so we would, so his like sleep schedule was to be up at night and then, you know what? Those times were actually really nice because I adjusted my sleep schedule to his so that I was awake at night and asleep during the day. And honestly, since I didn't have anything to do during the day, it was really nice. Nighttime is so peaceful. I really love it. And I love the daytime too. I love the sun. But there's just something about the quiet of night that it's my favorite time of day. But nowadays, now that I have to wake up early for work and go to bed early, quote unquote, so I can get enough sleep, I get way too tired at night to ever be able to stay up all night. So, which, you know, at least I have a healthier, consistent sleep schedule now, but sometimes I miss those days. But anyway, back to the point. In Overwatch, I was a Mercy, or am a Mercy and Moira main. I've not touched Overwatch. I mean, I played like a couple hours of Overwatch like a few weeks ago or a month ago, but other than that, not touched it in a really long time. But I've always liked the support role, and I don't really know why. And I was trying to, because in Marvel Rivals, Cloak and Dagger is a support character, and I've been trying to learn Rocket and Jeff a bit more lately. I'd like to learn Luna Snow because she's supposed to be pretty good, but you need to be able to aim with her, and I struggle with that. But I've been trying to figure out why I like the support role so much, because I can understand why DPS players like being DPS. Like, we always have way too many DPS and not enough supports and tanks. I understand why DPS players like DPS so much, because that's like the damage first type of characters. It is so satisfying and fun to go around and get picks, like taking people out and like rage baiting people sometimes if you're like constantly taking them out or like distracting them. It's fun to get, you know, click heads, take names. But a lot of people don't like support. They find it boring. But I don't, I really do like support. I was trying to figure out why, and I think that maybe there's a couple, like, kind of came to a couple of conclusions. One of them being I like supporting people, especially if it's like my friends. I like backing up their stellar gameplay. So, like, I guess it just fits into my personality that I like to lift people up and help them. But then another thing is, it's just really satisfying to me to be able to, like, especially not so much on like Mercy and Moira and Overwatch, because as far as like healing goes, they heal, but it's not really their main job. Like, their job is to support in other ways. Like, Moira helps to get picks on the enemy heroes, and she's got like escape abilities that are fun. And then Mercy, her job is to heal when necessary, but mostly damage boost, and for both of them, farm their ultimate as quickly as possible. But like on Cloak and Dagger, I have so much. Okay, first of all, it's really satisfying to fill their health bar and like hear that sound. But the another sound that is really satisfying is the sound of like you getting a kill. So like there's that, but there's just something so satisfying about hearing that like sound of knowing that you're filling their health bar, even if it's just like a rocket orb bouncing around in a tunnel somewhere and you're not actually like actively doing it. And then seeing that healing stat at the end, and I mean, you're not supposed to like pay attention to stats that much. You're supposed to pay attention to how you can actually have good utility, like in ways that the scoreboard doesn't reflect. But man, seeing like 40,000 healing on that scoreboard feels so good. And it feels really good when you actually get recognized for it. Because as a support, you get a ton of hate. It really sucks. But people blame you if they keep dying because their positioning is bad or because a diver, like a character on the other team, is diving your backline and killing you over and over again, like killing your supports so they can't heal. People will blame you for that, even though it's not your fault. Like, you could be doing the best you could possibly do. You could be playing a perfect game and you have not died once and you're keeping them alive amazingly, and they'll still blame you sometimes. But when you do get recognized, when someone says like W supports, or they like directly compliment you. And I had one the other day where our tank was saying like, I could not have done this without our supports, y'all are amazing, and that made me feel so good. So that kind of stuff is the reason why I like playing support. But even without the recognition, I still like playing support because the satisfaction and being able to like help enable other people to do a good job, I get enjoyment out of that. So it's not as flashy as like playing DPS, but I like it. However, I do not like playing tank, like at all. I don't know. I don't. Oh, and you know what? Another thing about support is I can heal myself. I don't trust other people that much. So, like, I don't trust really that, even as a support, I don't really trust that my other support's gonna heal me. And, like, to be fair, I don't want them to have to worry about me if they don't have to, because, like, that way they can focus on. I mean, we should keep each other alive so that we can both keep our team alive. Because, you know, as a support, your priority should be keeping your other support alive. But, like, when my support's looking at our DPS and tanks and I'm, like, behind her and dying, I heal myself. But if I'm DPS or tank, I don't know, it always feels like I get why they, like, say they want healing now, because it feels risky when you're low on health and your supports aren't healing you and you don't want to go in because you're gonna die, but you don't want to stay out of the fight and just wait because then you feel useless. So I guess I can see why they take things out on supports. But I just like when I'm not playing support, I don't trust our supports as much to keep me alive. But I don't know, I really hate tank. It feels like you don't get to do much as the tank. Like, you don't do as much damage, so you can't pick off the enemy team. You don't heal, like, you can kind of keep your teammates alive with your shields and stuff, but it just feels like you're just kind of standing there soaking up damage, which, I mean, that's the point of tanks, to soak up damage and keep the rest of your team alive. But that's the role that I find the most boring personally. Everyone says support is an easy role, but that feels so offensive. Like, I get it. Your job is to stay safe in the back and just keep your team alive. Sounds pretty simple. But there's more to it than that. You have to, like, get creative with where you can be useful. You have to have good positioning. You have to deal with people blaming you for their deaths. And I mean, if you have like a support with a bunch of different abilities, you have to manage those abilities and like use them at the right times. But the most painful part about being a support is whenever the enemy team has a dive character, like a highly mobile character that's intended to jump into your back lines, kill your supports, and then jump back out before they die. That's what a dive character is. So when the enemies have that and they keep attacking us in the back, so either we die or we're distracted long enough that we can't keep our team alive and they die, that's super frustrating. And as a support, at least with the supports that we have in Marvel Rivals right now, they can kind of defend themselves, but not like to an insane degree. They have some crowd control abilities, which, if you're not familiar, crowd control abilities are essentially abilities that, well, control the crowd. So, like, abilities that can stun an enemy or force them out of position, things like that. So, like, Invisible Woman has a push and pull ability, and Luna Snow has a freeze ability. So things like that help. Oh, and Cloak and Dagger, my main, has an ability that can blind enemies so they can't hear very well and they can't see past a certain distance. So those help, but once that cooldown is up, or like once you use that ability and the cooldown starts, you're kind of SOL. There's nothing you can do but just try to attack and then inevitably die. So that can be frustrating. But it's fun. It's fun when that kind of stuff isn't happening. It can just get really frustrating when that kind of stuff is happening. But yeah, I've really been enjoying the game. It took me a while to. Whenever I originally heard that it was coming out, I was excited for it, and I did intend on playing it because I had friends who were into Marvel, and I was like, well, I love Overwatch. This is like Marvel Overwatch, but relationships ended and never got around to it. So having friends who do play it consistently has finally gotten me to play it now. It's been fun. I'm enjoying it. But yeah, other things in my life, nothing crazy if I'm honest. I've been thinking lately about there's this book series that I read recently. It's been very popular about dragon riders, a school for dragon riders, and the ability. What the book is called? Fourth Wing. Well, it's the series. I read the first 3 books in the series. The other 2 haven't come out yet. I was kind of thinking about it again recently, like thinking about potentially rereading it because I struggle with books. Like, I try to get into a new series and I just can't. But if I know I like the series, then I enjoy rereading it. But it made me think about I was really into reading growing up. And but pretty much the only books I would read were either books that my mom recommended to me because she was an English teacher and she would recommend like young adult books like Hunger Games and Divergent and stuff. And those were great books. And Percy Jackson series, she recommended that to me too. But she was sure to tell me, remember, the things in this book are fake. Because she was very Christian. But she didn't like stop me from reading. She wasn't one of those parents who didn't let me read Harry Potter or anything like that. So the books that I would read were either books that she recommended or books involving dragons. And literally what I would do was when I was in elementary school, we had computers where you could look books up, and I would search dragon and just find any book that mentioned dragons and go find it on the shelf and borrow that book. And I read so many dragon themed books this way, and I like vaguely remember a good amount of them, honestly, surprisingly. But there were so many. There was that one series that everyone was reading about the lady who made clay dragons, and then the dragons, like, there was like this guy, she made clay dragons, if you know, you know. But then there was this other one where these dragons, it's like I can remember pictures that the books like put in my mind, like what my imagination came up with based on what the words said. But like I can't really describe them to you. There was this one where this kid was like a stable hand for the guy who owned the dragons, and he stole one. But and then at the end of the book, he like had to hide inside a dragon egg for some reason, and when he emerged from the egg, he like had new powers. He could see things that he couldn't see before. And then later he found this tribe of people who put babies in the eggs when like right after they were born, so they could just have the powers from birth, or right away. And so that was interesting. It was like you could see new colors, but I don't remember what else it did. There was another one involving a kid, a cat called a brownie. Like a brownie is like a type of creature, but it's basically a cat, and a dragon. There was another one which was like actually really political, about like the politics of a kingdom, the kingdom of dragons and the kingdom of griffins and whatever other creatures. There were so many. Oh, and there was another one where this kid, like his dad was a dragon and his mom was a human. I don't know how the frick that worked, but so he had, but he didn't have any dragon features other than he had super hot breath. But not like fire breath, just like very hot air. But then he met this girl who was also half human, half dragon, but the only feature that she got that was dragon was she had wings on her back. But she couldn't like put them away or anything, so she just had to wear a backpack all the time that she said was hiding a quote unquote deformity. And then so at one point people were like hunting them, and so she threw off her backpack and revealed her wings and like flew them away, and then, that's all I remember from that book. And there was another one where all I can remember is this kid had a snake necklace, but I can't remember if there were dragons involved in that one or not. That's all I can remember at the moment. But I feel like a lot of you would know that series about the clay dragons. It was super popular. You know what I never read though was Aragon, and that's a very popular dragon book that I never read, which is surprising. But I had already seen the movie by the time I found out that the book existed, and I have heard that the movie is not as good as the books. But when I've already seen the movie, I just have no desire to read the books. So I'm definitely a read the book first, see the movie later kind of person. My dad's the opposite. He's a see the movie first, read the book later kind of person, because of the fact that the books are generally better. So you see the movie, you're like, oh, that was pretty good. And then you read the book and you're like, oh, that was amazing. And so you get a like pretty good experience out of both of them. But I don't know, I enjoy criticizing the movies for like what they did wrong, so I'm happy with my order of things. But there's not been any books other than Fourth Wing that I don't know, I don't really have time to read. Oh, but I have been watching. It's hard to find time to watch things either. And also, whenever I sit down to just watch something, I feel super unproductive, which makes me feel bad. But I've been watching the new season of Ginny and Georgia. I don't know if any of y'all watched that, but it's a show I used to watch with my mom, so I wasn't sure for a while if I wanted to watch the third season, if I'd be able to. But I've been watching it and it's good. The show I used to have with my dad was The Flash, but it started to get really kind of boring because it's so repetitive. Every season, it's just someone faster than him. Which, I mean, it makes sense. When you're faster than everyone else, like, who can beat you? You can dodge bullets and stuff. So it was always just someone faster than him. Someone who was, like, physically faster, someone who could think faster, whatever. And it's just, how are we gonna get fast enough to beat this guy? So It got pretty boring. I do have beef with the end of the first season, though. It was a good show at the beginning, though. But I have beef with the end of the first season because I really hate the time travel trope. I think I've talked about this in a different video, but I really hate the time travel trope because they always make, like, there's no. I've never seen anybody do it right where there's not, like, plot holes. But the plot hole in this one is. Spoilers if you haven't watched the end of season 1 of The Flash, but like it's been out for forever now, so sorry. But basically, the guy who was like the BBG, the big bad guy, has been, he's been harassing them all season, but he is from the future. And we find out he's actually the descendant of one of, I don't want to say one of the main characters. He's a descendant of one of the quote-unquote good guys, but he's not really that great because he was dating the girl that the main character, Barry, liked. So, we didn't really... And he was, I don't know, he was just a meh character. But anyway, so the big bad guy is a descendant of Eddie, who was dating the main character's childhood friend / crush. So, in order to finally defeat the big bad guy, at the end, Eddie takes his own life. Because then, theoretically, big bad guy never exists because Eddie never reproduces. However, Barry got his powers. No, the whole thing about Barry's life spiraling out of control happened because the big bad guy killed Barry's mom when he was a child. And that's why Barry's dad went to jail, Barry's life spiraled out of control, blah, blah, blah. So, and I think it might have been related to him getting his powers too, even though it didn't happen until later, but I'm not 100% on that one. But, if Big Bad Guy never killed Barry's mom, his life never would have led him down that path where... Wait, if Big Bad Guy never existed, he never would have done all that stuff. And then... But if he never did all that stuff, then nobody would have any... Or, they wouldn't have been there in that position for Eddie to need to kill himself. And if Eddie didn't need to kill himself, Big Bad Guy would exist. And then the cycle, it just keeps cycling to where it just doesn't make sense. Because... If Eddie didn't need to kill himself, then Big Bad Guy would exist and he would have done all the things, and then Eddie would need to... You get it. So because so many time travel tropes in movies and TV and stuff make similar mistakes, where there's just so many plot holes, things don't make sense. So I really pretty much kind of hate that trope. But... Otherwise, that show was pretty good. I really liked Arrow. That was a good show. It was pretty dark, gritty. Oh, you know what I didn't like, though, was Marvel's Daredevil. That show was just, like, dark in a boring way. Like, I'm all for a dark show. Well, not so much in live action as, like, an anime. I'm all for a dark anime that can also have light moments. Like Hunter x Hunter. Or Demon Slayer. But if it's like all dark, then unless they can do it in a way that's not like boring. But like in live action, I don't know, dark, gritty, I don't love, especially whenever like the comic relief is weak. And I feel like that's how Daredevil was. But also I'm not I cannot do gore. So live action, dark, gritty shows are just generally not for me. But where was I going with this? Oh, so like, I know that back then, around that time that Daredevil came out, like, it was kind of a thing where DC movies sucked, but their shows were great. And Marvel shows sucked, but their movies were great. So if you wanted to watch a show, you'd go for DC, and if you want to watch a movie, you'd go for Marvel. But I think they've changed it. It's gotten to where Marvel makes better shows and DC makes better movies now, which thank God, because now you can actually watch what you want to watch. But Batman versus Superman, waste of several hours of my life. Oh my gosh. I went to see that movie back whenever I was in high school with a group of friends. We'd go and see movies. We went and saw It together, and we went and saw like Mockingjay, Mockingjay Part 2, the last Hunger Game movie. And I just remembered at the end of Mockingjay, my best friend and I were making fun of Katniss because she was holding her baby, and the baby was like crying and had just woken up, and she looks at it and she goes, "Oh, did you have a nightmare? I have nightmares too." My best friend and I cracked up at that. It was because the way she said it was just so out of pocket, so goofy. That whole uh the Mockingjay movies and book were meh, but that was a good hilarious moment at the end. My best friend and I also laughed through the entire way through it, which is good because I was afraid to see it because horror movies really messed me up as a kid. I can handle them better now though, but they really messed me up as a kid. So that was like my first time seeing a horror movie in a really long time. So I was like nervous, but she and I laughed through the whole thing. It was just goofy, and yeah, like it's a bit creepy, but it was just so goofy. So it was good seeing it with her. Made things better. She's a lot more into scary stuff than I ever will be. But, to each their own. I'm much more into, I don't know. I guess I'm just into whatever. I'm not that into movies in general. Like, there are plenty of great movies, but it's pretty rare for me to just think, like, oh, like, I want to watch it. Well, no, okay, there are definitely times where I'm like, I want to watch a movie, especially if a song from that movie is like in my head, or I don't know, I just get like movie cravings for specific movies. But, and like, I do like seeing new movies in the theater, but only if it's like one that seems really good. I'm not just like a go see a movie just for the heck of it kind of person. But yeah, so I'm not like crazy into movies. I can enjoy them for sure, but just like a casual, enjoy it sometimes kind of thing for me. A friend of mine has been showing me movies that I have missed out on throughout my life. Like I technically watched The Greatest Showman, but I didn't remember any of it, so he showed me that again. And then he showed me Pacific Rim for the first time, and Treasure Planet for the first time, and what was the other one? Shoot. Grown Ups I had never seen. Like so many iconic movies I had just not ever seen. So he was like, "Oh, you have to watch it. You have to watch this. You have to watch this." So that's been fun. Like seeing these movies that I had never actually experienced, that I knew about and people have talked about. They're like very popular, iconic classic movies, but I had just never seen them. So that's been fun. Um, but that's another thing that it's hard to find time for. But I don't know. Another thing I'd love to make time for, well, if I ever do, it's going to be probably a long time from now, is to actually beat all the ARC maps on my own. Or like just with one other person, not like on a community server with community help, because that's how I've done it in the past is, we like made friends and they were like, "Oh, let's do this together." So like we use shared dinosaurs, but generally it's been like mostly their army of dinosaurs. So I want to do it on my own. It's crazy that in the 2,000 hours that I've played ARC, I haven't done that stuff on my own. And it's because most of the time we were playing on a server, a specific server with friends. So I didn't, or like back whenever, well, yeah, so we just did things with friends. But back whenever we first played Ark, we were on a single player server, and it was first time playing Ark. I didn't know what to do with the settings, so we were playing on base rates, and progression is so difficult on base rates. It sucked. But I didn't know how badly it sucked because I hadn't experienced like decent rates until later. So, those are the reasons that I never progressed on my own. But I'd love to do that someday if I could ever find the time. One of these days. One of these days. I like having a small tribe though. I need a. I just. The only thing about doing it on my own or like with a friend who is not a builder is I hate building. I really hate it. But anyway, it's getting to be about that time of night where we go ahead and say our goodbyes. I really appreciate you being here as always. I love you so much, and I'm so glad that you spend this time with me and we got to explore a bit of Fjordur together. Or if you're just listening, that we got to chat about life a little bit. And if you have any questions for me or recommendations for things you want me to talk about in the future or games that you want me to play in the future, please let me know. I would absolutely love to hear your suggestions or questions. But until then, you have a wonderful night, and I'll see you next time. Good night.